disagree on these.
Emery Castelloot and Art Perry are friends. They're neighbors in the same Central West End building, and they don't always agree.
Our thoughts and backgrounds provide different perspectives on it.
Art grew up in North St. Louis.
But I'm aware of the hostility that's there, yes.
Emery's family moved out of the city of Detroit, and he grew up in the suburbs.
Were shaped by what I saw around me, which was obviously different than what Art was experiencing growing up right in the middle of the city. What is it that caused Michael Brown, if he in fact assaulted the officer, physically assaulted him and attempted to secure his weapon, what would cause a citizen to do that to a law enforcement officer other than self-defense? I don't find an explanation for that, because if we don't have...
This is not neatly tied up in a package for you, is it?
It is not tied up in a package, and I think that question, I hope that question gets developed and says, what was it about this young man, or where he was raised, or how he was raised, or how he learned that he would react physically that way?
Both these men were less than 30, each of them physically fit. And when one approaches another and it's not in a favorable manner, the other is going to react. And at that time, we have mano a mano. And when you have black and white, then it even escalates further.
He graduated from high school and he was 3 days away from going to technical college. He's a success story, my guess is, in his neighborhood from that context. So what was his beef? Why would you throw that away by taking the risk, which in his case turned out to be a tragedy, of, assaulting a police officer? I don't understand it.
Well, if you consider that Mr. Brown was instilled with thoughts about being a have-not from some of the people around him, and his neighborhood seemed to be that type of neighborhood, the removal of opportunities to, if you will, step up from that economic opportunity, all the manufacturing stuff left where all these people were moving to, it becomes, if you will, and not all of Ferguson, because I worked over there, but it becomes if you will, a cauldron of have-nots in a sense, and more of that than opportunities. But the grand jury, I did not expect to bring an indictment of the police officer because of the circumstances of, there was an altercation.
Is the frustration with the grand jury came up with the wrong decision and therefore we're going to protest that? Or is the frustration a broader issue? And I hope it's the second and not the first, not because grand juries always come down with the right, either they deliver a bill or they don't, but that's our system.
It's a long-term resolution that was being sought for, and that is that folks have been, in their mind's eye, bypassed by the jurisprudence and also by economic opportunity for so long. And was a chance to just raise hell.
Or said, it's not Ferguson, it's the Galleria, it's the West County Shopping Mall. How do you sort of react when you see that sort of stuff? Do you say, good for them, go get it?
I do. But you don't have to tear down somebody else's house to complain about the leaking water in yours. You don't have to do that. And I've lived in leaking houses, and I've driven multi-year cars that need lots of repairs, but I've never stolen somebody else's car or damaged somebody else's car to make mine work.
I understand if there's a message, a broader message, if there is an agenda that says we want to make change in relationships, whether it's between law enforcement and minorities, if that's really what the agenda is, then sometimes it takes a lot of disruptive, non-destructive protesting to ratchet up the heat far enough to get people to take it seriously.
Do you think we know what the agenda is at this point?
I'm afraid I don't. That's part of when we started this conversation, I said, I'm very confused because I'm not hearing what the agenda is. And I'm concerned about that.
But you are.
I don't know fully, even though I've read a lot, talked with a lot of people, some with names that would be considered leadership in St. Louis. But the answers for change is bigger, deeper than that. It's economics. For all that care to pay attention to my few words, it's economics.